Nancy Zawicki. I'm a registered dietitian with Northwestern Medicine. We're here at LivingWell today, and we're doing the Quick Bites, the international series. And today we're focusing on Norway. Norway is a wonderful country. It's one of the safest countries, and it's the 6th wealthiest country too. It's a 10-hour plane ride from Chicago. And we had a trip planned in May to do a Norwegian cruise, and it did get canceled. But I am just so glad with the COVID that we weren't stuck on the boat and go from there. So we've been there before. My son did a study abroad. He lived in Oslo for a semester. So we did get to visit him and actually experience the culture. And it was just a wonderful place. So I'm going to be doing 2 recipes today. You know, Norway is a very cold country, bad weather in the winter. And so I'm going to do a recipe with root vegetables because in the cold months, just like we have in Chicago, sometimes you don't want to be running to the grocery store all the time. And some of the root vegetables, if you store them in a cooler, dark place, they'll last longer. So this is a very simple recipe. It's called crispy Norwegian potatoes. And I did tweak the recipe. There was a lot of butter involved in the recipe, and we do try and promote the Mediterranean lifestyle. So I removed the butter and switched over to olive oil. So the way you start off, you're just going to cut up a couple onions, or yellow onions for cooking, and some carrots. Just dice them or do sliced rounds, and then I cut up potatoes. So in a pot, I first sauteed onion, and then I added the carrots, and I put a lid on it, and I let them cook a bit, and then added the potatoes. The potatoes were supposed to be peeled, but I decided to just leave the skin on. It gives you a little bit more fiber, holds the nutrients a little bit more. So once you cook those up, it's not for very long. It's only maybe 5 to 7 minutes. It's just kind of softening them just a bit. Then you prepare a baking dish. I put a little olive oil in, and then poured in the potatoes, the carrots, and the onions. So I'm going to do that right now, finish the batch. And then this next step surprised me. I had to keep reading the recipe to see if I was doing this right. You're then supposed to pour boiling water over the potatoes. So this isn't quite boiling, but I'm just going to show you how this works. You want them covered with the boiling water, and then you take a piece of foil and cover it. I put it on a baking sheet just so in case any spillage, and then you just bake it in the oven at 350 degrees for, I don't know, about 45 minutes. And then what you do is you bring them out, you drain them in a colander, get all that liquid off, and then you put it in a prepared sheet pan. It said to use foil, but I chose to use parchment paper here, and then you roast them. And so when you actually taste them, they're soft on the inside, but they're crispy on the outside. So it's kind of neat. You know, it's a different way. It seems like several steps, but they turn out really well. I think if we just roasted them, they might have been a little bit harder on the inside, but these have a nice softness on the inside there. So here's the serving platter. So I'm going to do this again. And it had nutmeg, black pepper, and you can put a tiny bit of salt on there too. But the nutmeg smelled really good when you were letting them roast. So the next recipe is an apple cake. It's a Norwegian apple cake. So again, apples you can store a little longer in a cool, dark place. And so what you do first is, there is butter in here, and a couple eggs and a little sugar. So I just did the hand mixture, and then I added about 1.5 cups of flour. So you make your dough, and then just layer it in a prepared baking dish. And then I used Honeycrisp. It asked for more sugar added. I thought, no, if I use a sweeter apple, you know, I won't add any more sugar. So that's what I did. And you're just going to layer it, use a whole bunch, layer it, and then the final touch, you do add a little bit of sugar and cinnamon to go over the top, but this is the finished product here. So I'd use the Dutch oven for it. So it's kind of a softer cake at the bottom, so it's not real, it's not going to be easy to cut. You're just going to scoop out, and they said to serve it with some creme fraiche or scoop of ice cream if you want. but it is a traditional dessert in Norway. So I thought, let's do that. So some other features about the country: it's very safe, it's got a very low crime rate. I was saying it's the 6th wealthiest country, but it's very expensive to live there. The taxes are very high, and that's because people are getting free health care and free education. But when I asked my son, who was doing the study abroad, I said, "Oh, what was some of your favorite dishes?" And he's like, "Mom, it was so expensive that we just ate real basic. You know, they didn't have the money to spend." So transportation, food, and is just very expensive there. It's considered one of the happiest countries in the world, along with Denmark and Iceland and Switzerland. It does have the bad weather, but they are saying that sometimes the colder weather and longer nights bring people together more. So kind of like Chicago too, we get some really cold winters. So, and now with COVID, you also want to be thinking ahead, like, how am I going to be happy staying home? And so think about like what kind of crafts you can do. Like they're big on knitting in Norway. They make lovely knitwear. Reading is very nice, have a fire going. Games, playing board games with family. And just thinking of what kind of crafts, or try a new craft, you know, try a pottery or needlepoint and all that. These are little ornaments I got in Norway. They're little angels, because Christmas is a real big deal to them there, and they love to bring family together. And let me just see, a typical meal is sliced brown cheese with a bread. They use a lot of fish. They're heavy in fish. They have the North Sea nearby. That is what gives them their wealth. It's the source of oil for their country. But cured meats, smoked salmon, or whale steak are very popular. Breakfast could be fish, a crisp bread, yogurt, coffee, and sometimes even a porridge. Sustainability is important to Norwegians. When they do have an animal that they slaughter, they use every single bit of it for various reasons. But just having that calm family time together is very important. And it's a beautiful country, and I hope that you all get a chance someday to travel there. So thank you so much, and enjoy these recipes.